Begin tonight with the ferocious campaign to kill healthcare reform in this country and an investigation into who's really behind it. Out of all of the kooky conspiracy theories that are being peddled right now about healthcare reform, that healthcare reform is going to mandate abortions, that healthcare reform will mandate free sex changes, there's one particular conspiracy theory that has managed to gain the most traction by far. And it is the idea that healthcare reform is really just a secret plot to kill the elderly. Conspiracists from right-wing talk radio to street corner screamers to Republican members of Congress all maintain that the provision in the health care bill that says Medicare will pay for the consultation if you want to get a living will, even though that was championed by conservative pro-life Senator Johnny Isakson of Georgia, that's actually secretly a plot to kill your grandparents. The theory has been presented as fact by Republican members of Congress on the floor of the House of Representatives. It has been promoted by conservative talk show hosts on both radio and on television. It has been Facebooked by prominent Republican leaders like Sarah Palin, who says that she's fearful that Obama's death panels will want to kill her parents. And now, this bizarre, completely inaccurate, scare the seniors, living wills are really a secret euthanasia mandate conspiracy theory is the subject of a new television ad that is running nationwide.
For seniors, this will mean long waits for care, cuts to MRIs, CAT scans, and other vital tests. Seniors may lose their own doctors. The government, not doctors, will decide if older patients are worth the cost. Tell Congress, don't pay for health care reform on the backs of our seniors. They've sacrificed enough.
The government will decide if older patients are worth the cost. Death panels. That sounds awful. It also sounds really made up. As you may have seen at the end of that ad there, the organization that's behind this ad is called the 60 Plus Association. What's the 60 Plus Association? I am so glad you asked. As we've done with some of the other groups pushing this kind of misinformation about healthcare reform, we decided to find out exactly who they are. 60 Plus is a registered nonprofit organization. They're based in Alexandria, Virginia. On their website, they describe themselves as a, quote, nonpartisan seniors advocacy group. Nonpartisan. A look at the group's leadership seems to suggest at least a slightly partisan tilt. The president of 60 Plus is a gentleman named Jim Martin. You may remember him from some of his previous forays into advocacy work, such as the Public Service Research Council, otherwise known as Americans Against Union Control of Government. He was also involved with the National Conservative Political Action Committee. Nonpartisan. Alongside Mr. Martin is the group's honorary chairman, Roger Zion, who the website itself promotes as, quote, one of Washington's leading spokesmen for the conservative cause. Indeed, Roger Zion is a former Republican congressman from Indiana who authored a new book called The Republican Challenge. So that's who's running this nonpartisan group that's currently running ads scaring old people about President Obama's health care reform plans. And who has a record of funding this organization? 60 Plus? Well, when 60 Plus started lobbying against prescription drug reform at the state level a few years ago, AARP actually looked into who was behind them. And they found that, quote, virtually all of their largest contributions in recent years have come from the same source, the nation's pharmaceutical industry. In 2003, the drug maker Pfizer paid 60 Plus to help defeat prescription drug legislation in Minnesota and in New Mexico. According to the AARP's investigation, Pfizer, quote, hired Bonner and Associates, a Washington-based firm that specializes in AstroTurf lobbying. The firm's paid callers, reading from scripts that identified them as representatives of 60 Plus, urged residents to ask their governors to veto the legislation. Pharmaceutical giant Pfizer Inc. later said it had paid Bonner and Associates to make the calls. Why does Bonner and Associates sound so familiar? Oh, yes, they're the firm that's now being investigated by Congress after they admitted to stealing letterhead and writing fake letters to impersonate groups like the NAACP in their coal industry-funded effort to defeat climate change legislation. Same guys. 60 Plus also appears to have had ties in the past to the platonic form of Washington things or people to whom it is best not to have ties. That, of course, would be Jack Abramoff. According to a Mother Jones magazine investigation, Jack Abramoff once instructed an Indian tribe to donate to 60 Plus, saying that that would help garner support for their legislative causes with the House GOP leadership. 60 Plus is well known in Republican and conservative circles, and like other corporate-funded PR operations, it often takes on causes that you wouldn't logically connect to their stated purpose. The 60 Plus Association, which again bills itself as a seniors advocacy group, they took on a subject that they want us to believe is near and dear to the hearts of seniors. Back in 2003, it was the issue of nuclear waste, urging Congress to, quote, move forward and approve the safe storage of nuclear fuel at Yucca Mountain. Because seniors love nuclear waste being stored in Nevada. Old people love that. As we've reported on this show before, the campaign against healthcare reform in this country is being brought to you by professional, corporate-funded, Republican-staffed political PR operations. In this case, an organization that promotes itself as nonpartisan but appears to be anything but. These are professional PR operatives that are scaring real Americans with increasingly paranoid and kooky lies about health care. And they're getting rich in the process, thanks to the largesse of extremely interested parties who are more than willing to pay for their services.